Good morning. Welcome to the Standards Committee on the 6th of June 2025. Before we start the agenda formally, I'd like to welcome two new co-opted members to the committee, namely Jane Walters and David Roberts. They are here to replace two co-opted members that stood down recently, and thank you to for that appointment. The first item on the agenda, perhaps when we elect a chair, perhaps we can do introductions throughout, but the first item on the agenda is election of chair. So can I have nominations for chair, please?
Yes, Hugh. Mike here. I'd like to nominate Janet Pardew-Wood for chair if she would like to take it.
Are there anyone to second that?
Hugh,
yes.
Right,
yes.
right.
I would second
Excellent.
as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations for chair? No. All those in favour of Janet Pardew-Wood as chair of the Standards Committee? That's unanimous. So over to you, Janet. Congratulations. You are in the chair. Feel free to come and take the top seat.
First, I would like to thank everybody on the committee for their confidence in placing the chair in my hands, and I'll do my very best to uphold it to the very highest standard. So thank you very much. The first thing that I have to do today is look at the election for the vice chair. Is there somebody that would like to propose a vice chair, please?
I'd like to propose Mark Rees, please.
And is there a second?
Yes, second that.
And I'm assuming that Mark would like this responsibility. So is there any other names to come forward for this role? Nobody. Then Mark is duly elected. Oh, do I need a show of hands? Yes. Sorry. Yes, I will vote. Show of hands, please. That's great. That's unanimous. Congratulations, Mark. If I can go to Alison then for apologies.
No apologies this morning, Chair.
Thank you. And item number 4 is disclosures. Are there any disclosures today? Nothing, then we'll move on. Looking at the minutes, I'm assuming everybody's read them, and it's our role now to accept as a correct record. Can we go through each page just to make sure? Page 1, page 2. That's it. And can I have a show of hands to accept them, please? Minutes accepted. We come now to item number 7, which is the Standards Committee Annual Report. Oh, did I say it? Item 7. Sorry, please excuse me today. I'm feeling really nervous, which is not like me at all. But my first day in the chair seems really overwhelming. So do excuse me. So item number 6, the Standards Committee Annual Report 2024-25. Before we go into this, I'd just like to thank Mike Lewis for his work as chair. I know we said goodbye to Mike last meeting, but I want to thank him for his work on the committee over the years, and also to Margaret Williams as well, as she finished her term of office. And thirdly, I'd just like to say thank you to Debbie Smith. So before we go on, I'd like to hand over then to Hugh to take us through the annual report, please, Hugh.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and I'll try and get through this. So the Standards Committee Annual Report 24-25 outlines the work of this committee over that period. I've got to start with the obvious place. Thank you to Alison for compiling the report, and it certainly takes pressure off my back, and I think you all agree it's nicely laid out. So if I go through it, we start with the introduction in paragraph 1, just setting out some of the legislative framework in the report about why we're doing an annual report. The annual report itself sets out the 10 general principles of public life, just a nice backdrop for people to understand the purpose of the report. Then over into the chair's forward. So that's been provided by Mike Lewis, the former chair of the committee, outlining his views on the work during the year. The next section is the role of the Standards Committee, which is a lift from the Council's terms of reference, so nothing to add to that. Then we get to the work proper in paragraph 2 on page 10. It was a busy year for the committee. We started off with appointing a community town councillor in Councillor Mark Parkinson of Pennard Community Council to the Standards Committee, and Mark was elected to run until the next local government elections. Unfortunately, Mark has chosen to cease to be a community council, and therefore by fault he is no longer a member of the Standards Committee. Just for you to be aware, I have advertised that role to community and town councils, asking for nominations to volunteers to come forward, and then obviously the committee will consider them in due course. So at our next meeting, we will be considering those. To date, I have had no responses, but I will be sending reminder emails and trying to get people to come forward to stand for the role. Very important role, and especially with the work of community and town councils before us. The second item then, obviously we discussed, was the previous year's annual report, so I'm not going to dwell on that. And then paragraph 2.3 of the report talks about the political group leader duty. And if you recall, stemming from the Local Government and Elections Wales Act 2021, political group leaders, there's a duty on them to promote high standards of conduct within their political group. And that led us to having the political group leaders in to discuss with them how they were dealing with that, what work they were doing, any innovations they'd had in place, any problems they had in place, and any support that we could give them. Something that's probably worth us continuing into this municipal year as well. Then 2.4, we reviewed the Standards Committee hearing procedure. That was apt because if you recall, we had to use the hearings procedure in a large case that we had back in October 2023. So it was reviewed shortly after that. So we could see how it worked in a live environment, and hopefully with those tweaks that we've put in place, it will be simpler for us as a committee, but also for the people attending before us. We're keen to for people to understand what they need to be doing and the process they need to follow. In paragraph 2.5, you've got the PSOW, that's the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales consultation, asking about should an accused member be informed of a complaint before or after it's been assessed, and that work went on. Then 2.6, we consider the annual report of the Ombudsman and their accounts. 2.7 then are the breaches of the Code of Conduct, broken down into specific areas. And as you can see, positive from my perspective that we didn't get issues to deal with. And I know it's frustrating for you because you can't get your teeth into some real work, but it does show that the standards of this authority and community town councils throughout the area are healthy and not a worry at the moment, but obviously we will keep monitoring that. We dealt with several for information reports, and the National Standards Committee Forum, the chair provided feedback from that because he sat on that body, and we'd expect obviously the new chair to continue in that role, so thank you for that. Paragraph 3 of the annual report talks about some of the future priorities that you earmarked as a committee last time. I'm not going to dwell on that now, but obviously in our last item, the work plan, we can look at that to build how we want to move forward as a committee. Paragraph 4 outlines the committee membership. At the time, obviously, it's changed significantly since then, and it goes on to talk with the terms of office, which I'm not going to dwell on. And then we've got the pen profiles, the biographies of the individuals, and that is the end of the annual report. I'd welcome any comments, feedback, ways we can improve it or make it more sexier for others. But other than that, I got nothing to add to it.
Morning, everyone. Hugh, can I just ask on the future priorities and mentions about the political leaders? Would it be seen as a standard for them to be at least once a year at one of the meetings to have a similar discussion as the previous one?
Yeah,
Thanks.
we do bring them in annually, and I do intend to raise it with you to keep it as a standing item.
Anybody else got any questions for Hugh or observations? Nobody there. So it falls for us now to approve this report. And if I could ask then for a show of hands, please. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So moving on then, as Hugh was saying, item number 7 is our work plan for 25-26, and the future priorities. As you mentioned, these were picked up from previous discussions with us. So I'd like to open it to the committee for any observations, any future things that they'd like to see on this work plan for next year. I've already mentioned to Hugh that I would like to see a training element included for the committee, just so that we can go over, as the new members might have gone through today, just the code of conduct, but also, you know, what the committee is here to do, what our role is. I think just a refresher, maybe as part of one of our meetings. So no pressure for that to be soon, Hugh, but I think that would be a good idea. So I open that to the floor.
Yeah, if I come in quickly there, just to assist. Obviously, I'll pick up on that training. I think that's a good idea, and I may, with your indulgence, look to invite the Ombudsman or perhaps a representative of the Ombudsman as well, to see what learning throughout Wales we can bring about. So I look at that.
Thank you, Hugh. So it's quite quiet. Are you accepting this then as our work plan for next year? Yeah. Yes, yeah, Hugh.
Sorry, I can see Mike Lewis has got it. Oh, sorry, Mike. Were you looking to come in, or can I just add a few things to it? Otherwise,
No, I was just showing my pleasure.
That's okay.
What Janet just said.
Sorry, I should have said. Just quickly. Obviously, we set those things out there. Just to clarify one or two areas on 3.1a, where we said invite chairs. I'm not talking all 24 chairs. It'll be a select. We will just select a few chairs from different size community town councils, possibly one or two clerks as well, to see what their views are, because they got a different take, to make sure they're adequately supported. It may be worthwhile, we always have the group leaders in, and I have found that useful. I'd like you to consider, should they come as individual group leaders, or should we invite the 4 of them together? Because that might, it's not about trying to trip people up. It's trying to get them to learn and to understand from each other how they can share what good practices they have. So that's something for you to consider as a committee. Backbench councillors, it may be worth having. I'm not talking bringing everybody, but again, these are separate meetings. Having a few backbench councillors and see what their views are, just to see, do they understand what the role of the Standards Committee, to remind them, what support we could give them with regard to the code of conduct. So things like that is where I'm coming from. And the other one that was jumping out to be, it may be worth having a few backbench members from the community town council sector as well, because we haven't done much with them in recent years other than dealing with actual complaints. So I'm thinking perhaps a little bit of preemptive work may lead to less concerns for them, especially with the local government elections in 2027 looming. So if we can get some standards reinforced before that time, it could be a positive.
Thank you very much, Hugh. So can I, oh, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Just on the item 2.9, it mentions about the National Forum. Obviously, the Chair will be attending that. Is that an annual forum?
No, that was the first one. I'm unsure on the frequency of it yet, but I think they're hoping to make it every 4 months or so. But that's only for the chair, and we have looked at it in the past. We did actually, as a committee, make representations. We get the vice chair sitting in it as well. But when you consider there are 22 local councils in Wales, when you got the national parks, and the fire and the police, rather, the police service, all of a sudden you're pushing towards 30 people. The group gets so unwieldy, so they want to keep it as chairs only. And so we get feedback, and I'd hope Janet would do the same for us. In addition to that, there are monitoring officer groups as well, which we will provide feedback from an officer's perspective as well.
It was just noting that for the work plan, really, that at least once a year we have a feedback from that particular forum, as you mentioned. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yes, Janet.
Mark and Mike, thank you. Should we go with Mark first?
Yeah, is that okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks, Hugh, for outlining some ideas for us to be looking at over the next year. I fully appreciate that because of logistics in terms of the number of town councils and the chairs and the clerks, that you can't just get everybody in. So if you've got an idea of who you can, a cross section to invite, but what I think it would be useful to do is that once we've had those meetings, or a number of meetings, that the results of that are fed back to across all community councils, so that they know exactly what was done, and give them the opportunity to come back with anything if there's anything that they feel we haven't touched upon at all. So and I fully endorse what Janet said about getting us all together, for those of us who've been on the committee for a little while, a refresher, and something for the new members, to give them a briefing training on what our role is. So thanks for that. Diolch.
Mike, please.
Thank you, Janet. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, going back to what Hugh was saying about the work plan and who to invite, it's just occurred to me, I personally am the chief whip of the Labour group. It may be a good idea to have opposition chief whips come in to, as a chief whip, we have to control our members, and for them to learn and obviously look at being a chief whip in a different light, which being on this committee, that's helped me enormously. So I don't know what Hugh thinks of that, but it's just an idea.
Hugh, maybe we could do it as sort of a speed date kind of training, so that we can have a little taster. I think that's a really good idea, Mike.
Just quickly on that, Mike. I'm aware that not all groups have chief whips for a start. Right? I think it's only you and the Conservatives do it. The Lib Dem opposition, I think they have a business manager. I think it's called a similar role, but it's just called something else. And I'm not sure what the Uplands group have. But I can certainly look to bring in the relevant person from each group for such things. I think that's not a problem. One thing I should have clarified as well: all the suggestions I've made regarding community and town councils, I don't propose to start any of that work until such time as I've appointed someone from that sector to this committee, because I don't think it's appropriate to be doing that work without that person appointed. But as I say, I'd hope they'd be in place by September at the latest, following September Council, certainly.
Anybody else? So now if I can just have a show of hands to approve our future priorities for the next year, please. And that once again is unanimous. Thank you very much for all the hard work, Hugh and Alison. And that brings our business to a close today. But before we do, I think it would be really nice for the new members of our committee today to give us a small introduction, and then for the committee itself to just go through each person and just to give a small vignette of their background and why they're on the committee. So we'll start with you, David. Thanks.
Morning, everyone. Some of you might be familiar with myself. I do sit as a lay member on the Governance and Audit Committee, so I'll be there next week. My background is very much long-standing career in the National Health Service, primarily within mental health services. I finished 10 years ago as a head of service in Howell Health Board, retired at that time. Since that time, I've been doing some voluntary work, some pharmacy delivery job, and also obviously working on the Governance and Audit Committee here. My background primarily was in nursing, in mental health nursing, for half of my career in the NHS, and the other half of the career was based within management, working up from service management up to head of service on retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jane.
Morning, everyone. I'm Jane Walters. This is my first foray into council activities. My background is as a higher education manager, working primarily with regulated healthcare programmes. I also do some work for other healthcare regulators with a particular interest in things like fitness to practice and education standards. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So should we go with Mark Rees, please? Just a short introduction, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Try and keep it short and sweet. Anyway, croeso to the new members, and diolch yn fawr for joining us to help us out with our work. My name is Mark Rees. I'm a retired Wales TUC education officer. I'm based here in Aberystwyth, and I'm involved in a number of other council committees as a co-opted member. I'm chair of Caerphilly Governance and Audit Committee. I sit on Torfaen Council Governance and Audit Committee and their Standards Committee. And I'm also a panel member for Dyfed Powys Police misconduct panel. So that's a little bit of my background, and I look forward to working with you over the next few years. Diolch.
Thank you very much, Mark. And maybe Oliver?
Hi there. Welcome to the new members to the committee. My name's Oliver James. I'm a councillor for Cocket Ward. I've been a member of this committee for a good few years now. I can't remember the exact number, but it's one of the most productive committees that I've actually been a part of when we're dealing with an issue in particular. It's really interesting to be part of this. So long may that continue. Welcome and good luck for the future.
Thank you, Oliver. Mike Lewis, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm Councillor Mike Lewis. I'm Councillor for Minnie Park ward of the city. I got elected in 2016, and since that I've sat on various committees. This one, a very, very important committee, I believe, because it helps keep the standard of the day-to-day transactions between different parties within the council and on a very amicable level. So prior to getting elected, I was a businessman in Swansea and ran several businesses, and I thought I'd retired until I got dragged into being a councillor. But it is an excellent way of helping, I think, the whole of Swansea, and all councillors should be looking at it from not from a personal point of view, but from a general point of view to help others. So, and this standards committee is part of that big organisation. So that's me. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Graham, please.
Morning all. My name is Graham Thomas. I'm a local member for Cumbulla Ward, first elected back in 1999. I've served on this committee now for, I think it's around 10 years, who may have the exact date. I'm a former cabinet member with the council and a former Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And last but not by no means least, Michaela.
Oh, thanks, Janet. Hello to the new members. My name's Michaela Jones. I'm a co-opted member. I've been on the committee since 2017. I live in Cardiff. I am a lawyer. I used to work in private practice. Now my main role is as a judge for the Mental Health Review Tribunal of Wales. And I sit on some regulatory committees and have some other public appointments.
Thank you very much, Michaela. And I'll just come up at the rear. So I'm Janet Pardew Wood, and I've just finished an 8-year stint with Social Care Wales as one of the chairs on their standards committees, fitness to practice, etc. My background has been in the not-for-profit sector. I launched Childline in Swansea many years ago, and my last role was as director with Mind Cymru. So I've done a lot with different organisations such as the British Red Cross, kidney research, breast cancer care. So I've done nearly all the main organs and mental health as well. So, but I'd like to extend a very fond welcome to you, and I know that you're going to be great on the committee. So thanks very much for that. Before we finish, I just wonder if there's any other business that anybody would like to bring to the committee today. Show of hands, nothing. Then the meeting will close. I'm just looking for a time. What time are we? The meeting will close at 10:28, and the date of our next meeting is the 10th of October, unless there's any changes. Thank you very much for your attendance today. Thank you.